Managers have been in the news again, with nationality once more a focal point. Should English managers be given preference? Is the Premier League, as Sam Allardyce rather bizarrely remarked, a foreign league based in England? We decided to have a look at manager performance. So far this season, 23 managers have taken to the dugout, but David Unsworth, caretaker at Everton, has only taken charge of 2 Premier League games, so we've excluded him from deliberations. Likewise, Frank de Boer's 4 matches meant it wasn't worth including him. 5 of the remaining 21 are English, or 24%, which bumps to 1/3 of managers if you include Tony Pulis and Mark Hughes of Wales, coming from the home nations. Ranking these 21 managers by percentage of wins in the Premier League games they've managed, the list has some obvious names at the top. The most successful English manager to sit in the dugout this season has been Craig Shakespeare, who managed a 38.1% win percentage and 0.46 points per game. Paul Clement is marginally more successful over time than Roy Hodgson, while Eddie Howe and Sean Dyche prop up the table, with newly promoted Brighton's Chris Hughton the Irish meat in their sandwich. Of course, Clement and Shakespeare have managed a lot fewer games than Hodgson, while Howe and Dyche have overseen the same number of Premier League matches, 86 at the time of writing. Their full record, still ranked by percentage wins, shows Arsene Wenger's magnificent 800 games dwarfing the next most of current active managers, Welshman Mark Hughes's 432. If we also look at goals for and against, Shakespeare is the only English manager to have overseen more goals than his team conceded, but only just. Pep Guardiola's ratio is an impressive 2.56 to 1 for goals scored versus goals conceded. At the other end, Huddersfield's David Wagner has the lowest ratio, 0.54 to 1, with 7 goals conceded in 2 games against Spurs and Liverpool. Eddie Howe and Sean Dyche are only 0.07 goals apart, but Dyche's Burnley have scored fewer and conceded fewer than Howe's more expansive side. Now, it could be argued that English managers don't get the chance to run top sides, which is why they're generally lower in the list. They've also accounted for a small proportion of the total games managed by the above list. English bosses from that 21 have taken charge of 444 games among them of the 3,279 total games, or 13.5%, despite comprising 24% of the list. But let's add to that list the last 6 English bosses to have overseen a Premier League game but who are no longer employed at a Premier League club. That's Tim Sherwood of Aston Villa, Harry Redknapp, QPR, Gary Monk, Swansea, Sam Allardyce and Alan Pardew, both Crystal Palace, and Steve McLaren, who was at Newcastle. The list doesn't look much better for English bosses even now. Sherwood creeps in just below Shakespeare, and Redknapp, with 641 games managed, comes below him. But the unlucky Gary Monk aside, then there's a gap, and Allardyce, Pardew and McLaren all with fairly poor records, despite a large number of games taken charge between them. These 6 additions bump the proportion of games managed by English bosses in the above list to 44%. Dyche and Howe are still at the bottom of the list, though obviously there are less successful foreign managers in the last 3 or 4 seasons we've not looked at. But both those clubs have faith in bosses who get results that are impressive relative to the club's stature. And while the argument that English bosses don't get the top jobs might still be true, owners looking at precedent could see from the above list that vastly experienced English bosses like Allardyce, Pardew and Hodgson do not get demonstrably better results compared to less experienced foreign managers, even at clubs of a similar stature.